Good evening, fellow human beings. I'm Shades, and I'm refuting the blunders of reasoning by Dr. Lisle. Did you notice that at the end of his comment about science not being atheistic, Dr. Lisle said this?
Because science comes out of a Christian worldview anyway.
Right. Is science really an offspring of Christianity? This is a claim that so-called presuppositional apologists make. In its entirety, the argument goes something like this. 1. Logical absolutes, that is, the law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle, are conceptual by nature. 2. Logical absolutes would be true even if there were no universe. 3. Concepts exist in the minds. 4. If there were no universe, logical absolutes would still exist. 5. Thus God necessarily exists. Because 6. The logical absolutes exist in the mind of God. 7. Science relies on logical absolutes being true. 8. Science relies on God's existence. This line of argumentation supposedly leads to theism being the basis of scientific thinking. This argumentation falls short, though, when it comes to the claim that not only theism, but Christianity in particular, is the source of scientific thinking. Along comes the Bible. John 1:1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." The word, the telos, means information, and it implies plan-like directionality. All this can be seen in nature that functions in a law-like manner, or deterministically. Why does everything obey the laws of nature and the logical absolutes? Because everything holds together in Christ. In his epistle to Colossians, Apostle Paul writes, "For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions, or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things exist." When scientists expect any phenomenon to follow the law of nature, they rely on Christ, because he is the one in whom nature reliably follows the laws that the scientists have revealed and observed. That was a mouthful. The first part of the argument, the theistic part, is one form of so-called transcendental argument for the existence of God. It has many fallacies. The biggest blunder is that it confuses prescriptive laws with descriptive laws, and this is equivocation. The laws we humans follow in order not to end up in a court of law are prescriptive. They order us to do something and not to do something else. The logical absolutes and the laws of nature are descriptive. The logical absolutes are a necessity for the world to exist. Or the other way around, if there is a world forming, the logical absolutes emerge. We can perhaps imagine a situation where there were no logical absolutes, but that is just our imagination working overtime. In this argument there is also a false dichotomy hidden in it. It assumes that all things are either physical or conceptual, either or. The correct dichotomy would be physical or non-physical. The argument also has a contradiction buried in it. If physical versus conceptual was a true dichotomy, God himself would be one or the other. The theists say that he is neither. He is transcendental, which, according to this argument, does not exist. When moving on from theism to Christianity, the apologists pick up the Bible and try to appeal to its authority. That is a fallacy. If you already are a Christian, you perhaps presuppose that the Bible is thoroughly reliable. But to get to that point, you need extra biblical evidence of the truth of the Bible. That evidence has to be scientific, because science is a systematic way of acquiring knowledge. Thus, Christianity has to appeal to science in its validation, not the other way around. And what I'm talking about here is science in a broad sense, not just natural science. Historical study is science too. What does it say about the history of science? Before there was Christianity, there were Greek philosophers. Aristotle formed perhaps the first system of categories of life. Technology flourished thanks to the likes of Archimedes. Saint Augustine brought the thoughts of Plato to Christianity. Thomas Aquinas discovered Aristotle again. As modern science was forming from 1500s to 1800s, the scientists were constantly harassed by Christians. Christianity is unable to back up its claim of being the source and basis of science. Is that clear? Bye-bye.